someone that I've gotten to know over the last couple of years, he's many things. He spends a lot of time being the engineering director for the digital video group at Adobe, but you'll hear from him. He's a very busy man. He's extremely intelligent. He is obsessed with doing things properly, and he's a wonderful person, and that's Lin Kayser. So, Lin, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. So, like Jim said, I'm the engineering director for the digital video group at Adobe. And the reason why I'm that is because a couple of years ago, I sold my company to Adobe. And the reason why I sold my company was a very difficult decision for me, because I was actually quite happy doing what I was doing in my own small company. But I had one frustration point. We were doing some stuff that was really, really complicated, and we were doing it for a relatively limited audience, Hollywood movie production. And this is a really fascinating space. It was a very fascinating space to be in the last 10 years. But you're serving a market of a couple of thousand of people. So when Adobe came and said, you know, we are interested in your technology, I saw the chance to actually bring it to the next level and go to millions of users. And ironically, I'm now involved at a group at Adobe that wants to bring creative tools to all of us. So I'm trying to expand the reach of the technology even further. But that is not what I want to talk to you today. So 3 years ago, after I sold my company, I started a nonprofit foundation. And I wanted to do something to have an impact on protecting the environment that we are all living in. And you know, as Yossi said, you know, it's sometimes good to be naive about these things, because you may come up with ideas that other people haven't thought about. But I have to be honest. I wasn't one of these people. So we did a number of things. I mean, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is water issues, because I think these are some of the most fundamental issues, you know, threatening our future. So what we did is, you know, we conducted an expedition in Ecuador and Peru. We traveled the path of the water, collected water samples, documented the flora and fauna. We documented the way of living of the people along the river. You know, we started at the Sangay volcano, collected water samples at the glacier, and then followed all the way down until the expedition team reached the headwaters of the Amazon. And another thing we did is being video professionals, we helped teach people how to use video equipment to document their way of life and the threats to their way of life. So that was great, and we finished that expedition, and you know, by usual standard, was a success. But I didn't really feel that happy about it. And why didn't I feel happy about it? I told you that I sold my company because I wanted to have a bigger impact. And I was not feeling that I was having a real big impact in what I was doing with my foundational work, right? So how do you make an impact? It's actually very difficult, right? And one of the things that you realize when you start a foundation and when you work as an NGO, there are lots of NGOs, and there are lots of individuals who are trying to make a difference. And they are all working on their little things, and they are, you know, sometimes they make a difference, and sometimes they make a very local difference, and all in all, they make a difference. But couldn't it be much more than that? And with that, I mean, I'm kind of naive. I thought, well, why can't I Google that? How to make a difference, right? And of course, that's naive, right? You know, why should that information be easily available? Well, actually, you know, it turns out that a lot of information is easily available. And I always came to this site, Wikipedia, and it kind of started a thought process. So why is it that some things are very easy to find and other things are very, very difficult to find? And so I tried to imagine, a world without Wikipedia. So if you look at a Wikipedia article, it shows you very clearly, what a certain field looks like. It gives you a great overview, gives you pointers to things that you could further research. What if this weren't there? It would be very, very difficult to find stuff, right? I mean, this is a Google search on the same topic. It's lots of fragmented information. So why isn't there a Wikipedia for solutions? Why can't I Google, how to solve a fundamental problem? And Jim did something very interesting last year. So Jim, on the second day of the conference, invited all of us conference attendees into a working session. And he posed a very difficult question to us. How do you solve world hunger in a decade? And you have a lot of smart people in the room here. Why can't we solve that together? So we broke out into various working sessions, and everybody could kind of say, I want to chair a working session. I raised my hand and said, I want to chair a working session about food waste. Because just if you do the math, we throw away 50% of our food in the industrialized world. With the 50% we throw away, we could easily feed the rest of the world. We don't have to invent new genetic organisms to feed the world. We just have to stop throwing away all of this stuff. And in our little working session, we came up with all kinds of solutions. And one thing that struck me was everybody knew about a solution that they'd already heard of, but everybody had a different solution. And sometimes these solutions differed in very small things. It was clear people were completely independently coming up with similar solutions. And I was thinking, what a waste of time. Why aren't we all coming up? Why are we all spending our time coming up with solutions when somebody else has already come up with it? And so, if you actually do these kinds of searches, right, you find that information is fragmented all over the world. And so, I mean, there are good examples, right? This is a campaign against throwing away ugly food, by the French supermarket Intermarché. Why wouldn't you eat that apple? Only because it doesn't conform to the stock photo image of an apple? That's stupid, right? So there are lots of examples. TED is a great example. Lots of ideas worth spreading. There are databases, etc., etc. But it reminded me a lot of the world before this guy came along. This guy is Johannes Gensfleisch von Gutenberg, the inventor of the printing press. When he came along and invented the printing press, it wasn't that there wasn't any knowledge in the world. Actually, there was a lot of knowledge in the world. The problem is you didn't have access to the knowledge if you weren't very well connected to a monk, because the monks were the guys hand copying knowledge from one book to another. And even with our wonderful tools that we have in the world, with Google and all of the search engines, we're still basically on that level with a lot of our information. So, with the exception of Wikipedia, we are living in a world of fragmented information. So again, why isn't there a Wikipedia of solutions? And this thing, I mean, I still remember, I came out of the WTN last year, and I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great if somebody built that? And then I realized, wait a second, I'm a software engineer. What the heck am I doing in the Amazon with my foundation? There are people like Yossi who know exactly what they need to do there. I have no clue what to do there. Why am I spending my energy there to do stuff that other people could be doing? And why am I not spending my energy building something to help all the people who want to do the right thing do the right thing? So this is what I want to build. I'm calling it eleza.org. Eleza means to explain and clarify in Kiswahili, one of the most predominant languages in Africa. And being very naive, I will also tell you how it will work. I mean, I'm a German engineer. I have to tell you a little bit how I think it may work. So I think we need to curate a broad spectrum of problem spaces. Why do I think we need to curate it? I think if we just let it grow organically from the beginning, we will very quickly descend into chaos. There are websites that tell you how to change your tire or to defrost your refrigerator. We don't want to get into that space. You know, people will not come to us to look for solutions to the world's toughest problems if they are, you know, if everything is full of trivial stuff. Then we will have to identify important issues. And there I think we can let the reins a little bit looser. And then we will let people enter solutions. Now, solutions, some of the people I talked to about this thing is asked, you know, why are you not using Wikipedia for that? Because up to this point, you could easily put all of that into Wikipedia. Now, solutions are something different than knowledge. Knowledge is pretty static. I mean, it evolves. Sometimes it's wrong. It needs to be corrected, etc. But it's not contextual. So something that is true is usually true in all contexts. And if there are multiple contexts, then you can add some more aspects. But it's not like falsifying the entire piece of knowledge because it's looked at from different angles. Solutions are something that work and may only work in a certain context. And it may work for somebody and may not work for somebody else. And solutions may work well or solutions may work not so well. So what we need is some kind of mechanism to also rate solutions, but then also have a discussion about, you know, how does it work, and does it work well, you know, why didn't it work, you know, why did it work, etc., etc. And hopefully by doing that, we will then be able to come up with even better solutions. So yeah, I think my main ask here is that you help me, because I can't do that alone. So if you are somebody who is familiar with technology, I think the technology side is actually the easiest one, but it's by no means trivial. So if you want to help with technology, if you are an engineer or you know an engineer who would want to work on this, please let me know. If you are somebody who is an expert in a field, please help me generate content, because one of the problems that we're going to have is, how do we get started? You can only be successful with this if this actually becomes a place where people go to read upon solution, but also enter their own ones. So we have a chicken and an egg problem. So we need to pre-fill this with good content to raise the level of quality and set a stage for this to work. But there's also another aspect, and I think that's something that we technologists very often forget. So what Jimmy Wales did with Wikipedia is a technology platform. The technology platform is actually relatively simple. But what he really designed is a democratic process behind that technology platform. The democratic process ensures that there is actually quality of content, that it doesn't descend into chaos. Everybody predicted that Wikipedia would descend into chaos and false information very quickly. What Jimmy did is he created a process that helped with the democratic process to ensure the quality. And then, of course, you know, we have to pay for it. So if you can help with that, you know, I'd be very appreciative as well. And the other thing I would like to hear from you is why this wouldn't work. Because usually when people tell me why it wouldn't work, I get new ideas why it actually should. So I think it's very critical that we do this, because we're quickly running out of time on some of the most fundamental issues facing humanity. And we are all wasting our time reinventing the wheel all of the time. So we have a lot of people and organizations that want to do the right thing, and they always start from scratch. We don't have time for that. So help me build that platform. Thank you very much.
The motto of the World Technology Network is encouraging serendipity. The whole idea of positive things happening unexpectedly, exposure to new ideas, new people. the fact that that idea grew out indirectly of what we did last year by trying to tackle one problem for a morning at last year's summit is exactly what this organization was set up to do. I have not, I don't know if Lin can hear me. I think he's out in the green room. But what I would like to suggest, I didn't arrange this with him, I think that the World Technology Network as an organization should partner with that new organization, especially given how it started. And we have 1,000 members in over 40 countries right now, many of whom have worked indirectly or directly on world problems, or who would like to. And I think that, I don't know, what do you guys think? Should we help? Yeah? So someday, when this exists, because it will, because Lin doesn't do anything that doesn't happen, you can say you were here when we decided to partner with them and are going to help as much as we can. So again, it's a phenomenal idea, and I thank Lin. We're now going to have a lunch break, and we've got some equally phenomenal speakers and ideas coming after lunch. So I'll see you out at lunch.